This rally in Immutable X is over. I think we have peaked in the IMX token, at least in terms of relative valuation to Ethereum. And that's because of the relative trading range. When we look at how is IMX relatively valued to ETH, that's also because of trading volume, as in what attention is currently on the IMX token, because it is pretty elevated, but it is coming down as well. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking mainly about the relative performance just in the recent past. So look at this. In the last 24 hours, Immutable X performed very, very poorly, minus 15%. Okay, so it's the fifth worst performing token in the top 100. A very, very poor performance. But this is not what we have seen since beginning of the year, right? When we look at the performance since beginning of the year, this is very, very nice, right? It peaked pretty much at 200% gain year to date. And since then, it's not doing too well, right? But still, 200%. Now, why do I say this is a problem? The problem is that trading volume is declining and people aren't paying as much attention on the token anymore. And there is a lot of correlation between attention on an asset and its price. So let's look at this. When we look at CoinMarketCap, I actually like to look at these volume charts on CoinMarketCap because CoinMarketCap is aggregating trading volume. If you look at trading volume, say just in TradingView, right? You enter volume over here. The issue is you only get the trading volume of this particular exchange. So it's not very useful. You want to be looking at trading volume across different exchanges. And for that, CoinMarketCap is pretty good. It looks at all kinds of trading volumes. And so when we look at this, right, what can we see? We can see trading volume spiked here on the 4th of February, roughly, then went down and then spiked again on the 8th of February, pretty much at a similar level. Now look at the price at these same times. When trading volume is high, the price is high. Now the price comes down as trading volume is coming down. And so when we peak in trading volume again at similar levels as before, we might be at a point where we want to sell because attention is on similar levels as it had been before, where it was basically maxed out. And once the attention declines, price declines, and this is again what we see. Now, why do I say this is a problem at this very moment in time at these 97 cents? The problem is trading volume is relatively stable in its waves, right? It's going like up and down. It's not too erratic as price. Price is moving very zigzaggy, but trading volume is a bit more smooth. And trading volume is now on the decline. And the price is also on the decline, but trading volume is not yet at these bottom levels, right? You want to be selling at these top levels. You want to be buying at these bottom levels. And we've seen bottom levels in trading volume, say at the end of January. That's when you want to be buying. We have seen this also, say on the 5th of February. That's when you rather want to be buying. And so far, trading volume isn't yet at these low levels. And so when it continues to decline further, price is likely going to follow. So that's one problem. That's one problem why I think, at least in the very near future, in the next 2-3 days, IMX is likely going to be below these current 97 cents. The second problem I see is when we zoom out. So this is the US dollar chart year to date. But let's look at the Ethereum denominated chart. Let's look at IMX relative to Ethereum. That's this chart over here. And let's zoom out. Let's look at the daily. So this is IMX in ETH. Now, why do I look at this chart in the first place? The reason why I look at this is because when you look at all of these different altcoins, right? What you want to be doing is your target should be to outperform Ethereum or to outperform Bitcoin, whatever you prefer holding over the long term. And the reason is everything that's below Bitcoin and Ethereum tends to have more risk, right? At least in terms of the risky assets that move in price, not the stablecoin. But let's say all of those risk-on assets that have a lower market cap than Bitcoin or Ethereum, they have a smaller community, they have weaker network effects, etc. So the reason why you get into any of these coins here is not because it's safer than Bitcoin. It's because it has more upside potential than Bitcoin, right? So you want to be buying something where you've got the expectation to outperform Bitcoin. You take on more risk, you expect more return. That's the idea. So when you buy IMX, what's more important than this US dollar price, than these 97 cents, what's more important is the Ethereum or the Bitcoin price, because this is what the capital is actually competing for. The capital that you're putting in IMX is competing with the capital that you put alternatively in Ethereum or in Bitcoin. You could just park it over there. So how did IMX do relative to Ethereum? Not so great, right? Since beginning of this chart here, which is in January of 2022, to today, we've seen underperformance of a bit more than 50%. So had you just invested in Ethereum instead of IMX, you would have now doubled the money. Where does this underperformance come from? The underperformance, in my opinion, in a lot of altcoins, but also for IMX, comes from token inflation. So IMX has a maximum supply of 2 billion. Okay, maximum 2 billion tokens floating around. How many tokens are currently floating? Let's have a look. Yeah, it's 800 million. So 40%. So the supply, the circulating supply, is about to more than double until we have hit maximum supply. The token inflation, so to speak, as in how many tokens are actively being traded, is going to rise quicker than for Bitcoin or for Ethereum. In other words, for IMX to outperform Ethereum, you need to have the demand grow faster than for Ethereum. You need to have this small ecosystem, this NFT trading ecosystem, to grow quicker. That's the bet that you're making. Now, this can be a reasonable bet for a lot of altcoins. I personally am skeptical for IMX, and that's simply because usually growth is the fastest at the beginning, and then it tends to slow down somewhat, right? As a product gets more mature, as adoption grows to wherever the saturation point is. So at least at the beginning, you should see an outperformance. But here, we unfortunately do not see this. We see a pretty constant underperformance. And you might argue, okay, you could potentially ride those waves. And these are significant waves. 100% increase over here, right? Also recently, 100% outperformance. You can ride those waves. But when you ride them, you have to be aware of where the waves is currently at. Currently, IMX from this chart here looks very, very elevated, right? You don't want to be buying, if you're actively trading, at these prices when the downside risk relative to ETH is 50% or even 60%. You don't want to be buying when the trading volume tends to decline and when it's historically at elevated levels. So I don't have much positive to say just from a TA, from a tokenomics point of view. It does look like a poor risk to reward. And I know not everybody will agree. There will be a lot of comments below this video that might disagree. One thing that I think is important is if you are an IMX fan and you really like the token, what do you think? This would be then the argument that we can have in the comments. What do you think will turn around this long-term negative trend? Because obviously, whatever positive developments fundamentally are currently happening in IMX, it's not reflected in the market. The token inflation is stronger than whatever positive news there are, and it has been for the last year. So why would this suddenly turn around? Is there something in there that the market is not yet pricing in? And if there is, feel free to share this, obviously, and then we can also have a very fundamentally based look on IMX. Instead of just looking at relative valuations and at trading volume and at token inflation, we can have a look at the fundamentals of the project. But so far, the fundamentals of the project have not yet convinced. So there needs to be some kind of a turnaround, something drastic happening, something maybe with the founder team happening, maybe whatever kind of catalyst there is for this outperformance. It has to be stronger than whatever came in the past, because the past wasn't good enough. We can obviously see this, right? It doesn't take rocket science for that. So looking forward, to your comments. Feel free to join the Telegram group. Look down here, right? There is this Telegram link. You can simply search for Bitcoin Strategy Channel, or you can click on the link in the video description. Feel free to join us. I answer any questions there. We are looking to discuss various altcoins there as well. So looking forward to see you there. And of course, see you in the next video as well. Bye-bye.